I want to go on a quick rant about Xbox.
Yeah, let's do it. Serious one?
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck, Roger? Roger, I wake up this morning and we do a Great Games Daily. Go check it out. The Xcast, aka the Lcast, comes in and has a conversation. And I'm just fucking baffled every time this goes down. And most of all of the video game industry. Like, most of the time, it's like, I can rationalize it. I'm like, okay, I guess. But, like, 90% of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's corporate fucking greed.
Yeah.
It's getting more monies to the shareholders and the CEOs, and the people that are making the games, these incredibly talented human beings, don't get any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's fucked up, Roger. But here we go again, okay? Xbox, Microsoft Gaming, finally finding a flow. Finally. You can be an Xbox gamer or just a gamer in the world that just loves games. No console war bullshit. You can finally say, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting it right. Good job. You're making right decisions. Okay? Couple of wrong decisions. Looking at you, Tango Gameworks decision. Looking at you, Arcane. Bad decisions. But, you know, what the fuck? So now we get to here. Fucking stock prices are through the roof. Everybody's happy. We're announcing a handheld. It seems to be good. It seems to be like the ship has been fucking righted. But of course, as always, corporate greed steps in, and we gotta just kind of shimmy shake it over here, which means I gotta cut 9,000 jobs.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? Why?
A performative action.
You have so much money, you could stop world hunger, but we don't.
Yeah.
We don't care about anybody, and that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But then when we get to it, right? What the fuck? Okay? We're canceling? I'm going to go through the games I want to talk about. We're canceling Perfect Dark? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why make the initiative? Why did we make the initiative so small and agile and they could do anything and help any team? Just make a studio if we're going to make a studio. Because then we go through bullshit where now it's like, well, the team's technically not big enough to make a game, so we got to call up Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now you're affecting Square Enix as well, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Let's make this.
Yeah.
Okay? And I had doubts. As all of you know, I had doubts about Perfect Dark. I was the first to raise my hand and say, Perfect Dark, why? Okay? First off, your boy SnowBikeMike is like one of the few only jabronis that played Perfect Dark on the N64 and actually enjoyed the Xbox 360 game. But even then, I know. That was 25 fucking years ago. Ain't nobody clamoring for Joanna Dark to show up out of nowhere. Now, on the flip side, though, yo, you could have had a dope female protagonist. You could have had a dope spy espionage game. This could have been a really good fucking flag for your team to fly. But I knew that Perfect Dark was not the correct call. What are you going to do? Put out an 8 to 12-hour single-player campaign and maybe some shitty multiplayer? This isn't the move. But I said, okay, you know what? I'm willing to drop it. I'm willing to say, let's see what you can do. Because I see it, right? I shouldn't have been first person. Should have been third person.
Definitely.
But you know what?
Definitely.
I can get over the perspectives. I'm fine with that. But I was like, you know what? Joanna Dark, badass female protagonist. Let's fucking do it. Spy espionage game in the future where fucking tech companies are taking over, sucking the lifeblood out of the world.
Sounds familiar.
And we got to fucking stop this shit. Like, let's go. Okay? And they took years to finally fucking show something. They finally showed something last year.
Well, by the way, sorry, not to interrupt you, but they
can fill in. Yeah.
They show something after everyone was saying that this game is not doing well, right?
They show something.
And they show something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they showed more than you thought they would show.
Yeah.
After all of that, after all that bullshit, they showed something you didn't think they were going to show.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, here, like, yeah, this game seems to be on track. This game should be next year, 2025, 2026. Where are we at, right? And then where we go? Don't show it this summer. SnowBikeMike gets mad on the reaction, saying, what the fuck are we doing here, right? Where are we at? And then sure shit, what, 3 weeks later, a month later, we're actually canceling that and shutting down the studio? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why are we wasting all this money to get to the finish line and dropping this? Just give me another Redfall.
Yeah.
Let this shit be shitty, get it out, and then...
Well, that's the thing, is that I think that game was actually in a bad place. I think it probably still is, I mean, I guess was now, in a bad place. And if you look at that gameplay trailer, I watched it and I was not impressed by it, right? Because I look at it, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right.
Never felt right.
This never felt right. This doesn't feel like an actual game that's coming out in 2, 3, 4 years. This feels like a very, very, very small vertical slice, if you can even call it that, of a section that kind of like a proof of concept is what this is. So when it was inevitably wasn't at the Xbox thing, my red flag was like, shit. This is either way worse than it was, or that is them just kicking the can down the road to be like, hey, look, this game exists, sort of. Like, here's just some public will.
We've been teasing you so long. Matt Booty, Phil Spencer have all spoken about it. Like, let's just we're almost there. It's like, maybe they weren't.
No, we're not. No.
They clearly weren't. Okay?
At that point, like, why did you even show it?
Crystal D. Yeah. Why did we show? And so now, moving on from that was fucked up. Moving on to Everwild. That shit should have been canceled 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? Here's the deal. It first got shown, then it went into development hell. It became the question every single year. Will we see Everwild? Where's Everwild? What's up with that? Should have canceled that 5 years ago, so we stopped asking about it. You didn't have the vision. It was never going to be what it was. Should have been making Viva Pinata, if I'm being real with. Everwild should have just been a Viva Pinata game. Should have just made Viva Pinata, okay? But, hey, that's just Mike's opinion. But here's the deal. That was going to, we all knew that was never going to live.
Yeah.
That had to go. Now, we got a team like Rare who is going to make Sea of Thieves forever.
Yeah.
And that's a double-edged sword for me because Sea of Thieves rocks. It's popping off. It is a good game. I want them to continue making it. But now I won't get the whimsy. I won't get the wow factor.
It just shows how far the Microsoft rope is allowed to go down, right? Like, especially the goodwill of these companies is that is the end of it, of Rare. Of they make Sea of Thieves, you have a successful live service game, and now how long has Everwild been in the can for? We've been working on
10 years.
It's a very long time to get that rope to be like, hey, let's restart the game, let's try to make this happen, and now it's fully done. You've also lost a huge senior veteran over at Rare as well, which I think is one of the bigger aspects of this cancellation of the game, is now that you're bleeding talent from Rare that is already struggling to kind of keep its identity of what it was before and not just be the Sea of Thieves studio.
Then we go to the MMORPG.
Crazy.
From ZeniMax Online Studios. And I said it during Games Daily. Holy crap. We had Matt and Rich in here, and they were so positive, so much fun to be around. They were great. And that story of ESO is empowering, beautiful, and damn right that game is great.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, I'm a big MMO guy. I love when games last for a long time. But I, like everyone else, like money too. And I also start asking questions of like, is this still making money? When does this become that and we have to move forward to the next this? Because I'm sorry, but like, what are the player bases for an ESO, for a Sea of Thieves? And then on top of the player bases, what's the money being made here, right?
Especially Sea of Thieves, right?
And so when does this end? And so they seemed pumped up, and it's like they clearly had something else they were working on. And it's like, so you're telling me we're just going to stay ESO forever, or are we going to ESO for the next 5 years?
Or do they have another game that we're not talking about? Like, what does that look? Yeah, that's also the same thing with Rare. Like, is the cancellation of both the MMO from ZeniMax and Rare, are those actually the only other games that they were working on?
Yeah.
Or is there something else here that we're missing? Because I hope so. I hope to.
They better have more.
Rare better have something else smaller that we're not thinking about. Maybe it is like a keeper. Yeah. Maybe it is a smaller experience.
A tiny banjo.
Well, I mean, never. But it's not going to be that. Maybe it is something small. You hope that they are working on something. But if the reality of it is that ZeniMax Online has been working on something huge, and that's all they had other than ESO, that's fucking crazy.
Well, it just makes me feel like those two teams, similar to Halo Studios, you are only going to make Sea of Thieves and ESO forever, which, double-edged sword, that's great. They got great player bases. They are really fun and really good games. They're great little cornerstones to your foundation of, hey, I have a live service game here that makes money, that can survive for multiple years, maybe even decades, right? That's awesome. But also, now you know, the studios, employees are looking going, is this where I want to be? Right? Yeah. And on one side, great job security. You go there. I say that as many people get laid off, but like, you know that we're just going to make this forever, but you're only going to make that forever, right? So as a young guy, you'd come in and be like, oh, I'm going to join this team because this is what they do year after year. I'll learn, I'll grow, I'll go somewhere else. But you shouldn't have a good feeling of like, we're going to make something different here ever.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to fucking make these two forever. So then we got the third one. turn 10.
Crazy.
50%? Now, I am not the biggest racing guy. I prefer Horizon. I know that there is a fan base for this, but also there's a small fan base. On track, super sim, cut your time down racers. That fan base is like this. It ain't this, it's this. And there's so much competition, but you have the lineage, you have the fame, you have the glory of Turn 10 being one of the OGs. But at the same time, you got too many players in this.
Yeah.
You got GT Gran Turismo, you got F1, you got others in this, and it's just, in my mind, this team is now going to fall under the umbrella of Forza team, not Turn 10,
no, it's
not Playground. It will be Forza team, and we make Horizon, and every now and then we'll give you a motorsports. Because it's clearly not making enough money to justify we need an on-track super sim motorsport
it's so
as often as we should be making
It's so interesting that they're doing this, though, of like, Forza Motorsport Prime hasn't actually been on PlayStation before, right? Like, we haven't ported it. We haven't tried that out. I'm so interested into that, like, they just don't see that audience. They don't find the world of like competing with the Gran Turismo. Yeah. I guess so, yeah. But I mean, also, it's been a minute since GT, right? It's like there is room for them to expand into the PlayStation market, I guess. But I guess it's just not big enough.
You just make Horizon. You make Horizons and then one GT. Horizons, one GT.
Yeah, that's not going to be.
And
yeah,
like that team, I mean, in all realness, right? That team is going to be split in two. Right, Playground Games will have Fable. You make Fable. Fable is going to become a flagship game. It's going to become a cornerstone. Hopefully. You'll make Fable 2, right? Then on the other side, just move that Forza team over and just say, you're here, okay? You make Forzas. Also fucked up. Matt Booty writes that email. It's like, oh, I hate seeing this. And all of these layoffs, oh, we're working with people to help find them jobs. Fuck that. Give them a job.
Yeah.
You got enough games going on. We got enough places.
Go apply inside of our own.
We'll give you prioritization.
Prioritization. Fuck off.
Go give them a job. You got enough studios. If you're going to shut the studio down, find them 50 more jobs somewhere else. Help them out. You know what I mean? Crazy.
No, go apply. Go apply.
I hate that. I hate that, Raj. I hate that stuff.
Go apply there.
And so here we are. I've kind of lost my final moment on what I wanted to. But, like, again, remember, I'll circle back to this one. SnowBikeMike had a bad day where I was really uptight about Xbox because your boy SnowBikeMike, as a diehard Xbox fan, was questioning the future of all of my purchases, but the future of where I should be spending my time. And some people were like, we got to come after Phil. I don't like the vision. I like the vision. I like where we're headed to. I am in right now on the idea of, hey, we are moving forward to being the biggest publisher in video games with all of our studios. Hey, we are building an ecosystem where we're most likely just going to be a fucking app on all of your screens that just says Xbox, and you can play any of the games anywhere thanks to cloud and these different devices. But, like, I was uptight about the idea of, like, when you lose the exclusive battle, there is no reason to be making a hardware piece anymore because you've told me I can go buy all these games anywhere. And yeah, I can go get them for, you know, the price of my subscription on Game Pass with Xbox, but like that subscription on Game Pass is now everywhere. It's on my phone, it's on my PC. I'm just not seeing the reason to be invested in a piece of hardware when the other piece of hardware is going to be playing all those games, right? Yeah. And so I still ride or die for Xbox because I love that console and the memories.
Yeah.
But when I look to the future, it's like clearly I am becoming a PC gamer that does it all, right? PC at the end of the day has Steam, it has Xbox, PlayStation games are coming over to it. You best believe more PlayStation games are going to be coming day and date on the PC because we love money in this world, right? But like, I just worry about buying this console in the future, right? I think I'm in for like one more generation before it's like, oh, I'm just a PC forever guy, right? I don't know where I'll be, right? It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it, right? I mean, now we're going to a different conversation when it comes to like Xbox in the future. I mean, I've always loved the pitch of an Xbox just being a PC, like a literal PC. Yeah. Like you could download Steam, you could download everything. It is running that SKU of Windows that is now just basically Xbox Windows. Like that to me is the actual future. Yeah. That is the only way that you can get people into that ecosystem. If you say, hey, you could play all your Steam Steam games on an Xbox, and it's $400-500 or whatever, same price as a Steam Deck, and it goes in your console, and it plays all the Xbox games, and it has Game Pass. That's the only way you can actually sell units now in 2025. If you say that is a closed ecosystem, you have to have an Xbox account, none of your saves transfer from your PC stuff.
That
bullshit.
doesn't work.
Not gonna
That's
work.
old.
Not gonna
and
work.
I also, I want to bring up, Raj, with you of like, I like looking at both sides.
Yeah.
I like to try to like put myself in CEO business Mike shoes and say like, let me think about this side, right? And so I do want to bring on both sides because there's really no positives here. Because as I said, I like the idea of Xbox becoming the massive giant publisher. Well, guess what? If you're a giant publisher, you need game studios and you need games. So there's no justification to cancel this shit, right? Yeah. But on the flip side, right, if we start looking at it, Everwild, the cancellation of that was inevitable. Unless somehow we see the Jason Schreier movie later on that's like, Mike, this game could have been it.
Yeah, this game was right there. It was almost done.
More,
yeah.
And maybe I'll eat my words. But after 10 years of being strung along with Everwild, I was never going to be into that.
No.
I know that for a fact. Perfect Dark, I said it before, I questioned the idea of Perfect Dark at all. So if I was questioning that at the beginning, probably means we
and there was
shouldn't
red
have done
flags
that.
before we even knew it was Perfect Dark,
Yeah.
just from the initiative side of it all.
But
right?
like, man, oh man, there's such a 50-50 of me of like, I believe in Perfect Dark and what it could have been. And at the same time, it's like, you look at the landscape now, and a lot of these games struggle to find an audience when you are a first-person shooter that is strictly just campaign plus multiplayer, or just multiplayer. That is a competitive market that just doesn't work, and it seems like Game Pass fodder. Right? It's like, here's some Game Pass games, put it in.
Yeah, and you don't even know what success means, right? Like, compulsion was like, when this was all going into this day, right? The rumors were that the layoffs, studio closures were all going to happen on Wednesday. My biggest fear was a studio like Compulsion, right? Like a company that clearly made a video game that they wanted to make, didn't really hit those numbers that, maybe they had hope, but maybe it's a success on Game Pass, like 1 million players. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does success mean in an Xbox ecosystem in 2025 where these games on Steam have probably maybe 1,000 people playing them at any given time, but the numbers seem really good on Game Pass? Like, are they actually making any money? And to me, the dream of the Xbox publisher being the super publisher that we can get excited about, that we can put all of our hopes and dreams into the future of this industry, died after the Xbox Activision merger when they closed down Arcane and Tango Gameworks. That completely died. Immediately. You say that Redfall was a flop, which it absolutely was. They fucked up on publishing that game and making sure that game had quality control. But they made fucking Dishonored. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That team was just closed down after that. Like that to me is a complete failure of Xbox's leadership, and they needed to allow that team to continue to go.
It's just going to be so long to wait for their next.
I know, but that's
you have a massive flop. And
that shouldn't have been on there.
I get it, and I'm not. We've all talked about it, so I'm not defending. But I'll play the other side of like, now I have to pour millions upon millions, years upon years for you to pick up the pieces and try to become the Dishonored team that you once were after you flopped, right? Tango Gameworks, on the other hand, with me, is like, that was fucked up because that game actually was good. And it seemed like a smaller project that should have gone. But the big head, Shinji Mikami, left that studio, which means, oh shit, I bought that team for him and his vision with that team. Now he's leaving it in the hands of the young guns, and maybe I don't trust them as much. That's got to go. And so that was one where it's like, they had a hit. I don't know about that, y'all. But you can also be like, well, people are leaving. It's like, I don't like that. Arcane, Redfall, massive mistake. Too much money.
Prey team. Come on, Prey is what I meant to say. Sorry, I meant to say Prey, not Dishonored.
Yeah, that gets weird because I think Dishonored, when they made Dishonored 1, they were still one team, and then they after Dishonored 1, they had split into Leon and Austin.
Prey is what I meant to say, guys.
So we'll see. They have hits coming up next year. If it does land, which God, man, you would be paying all the money in the world to ensure this happens, right? Fable, Gears of War E-Day, Halo, and possibly even Forza Horizon. That almost seems like too much in 1 year. But if you can get 3 of those to land and really swing the tide, and then what's the gimmick, as Gary has said? You show us the next piece of Xbox hardware. What is the gimmick? And it actually be celebrated. If it is this open platform, just a mini PC box,
Yeah.
maybe. But as of right now, I still love the games. I love the studios. We are just making weird decisions when it comes to human beings' lives and being a mega corporation built off of just insane greed.
Yeah.
They got enough money in the world to keep them funded.
Yeah, I just have a lot of the future of Xbox. I think it looks bright on paper. For me, I just continue to see this shit happening forever, especially when it comes to Game Pass. Like I've been thinking a lot about the devaluation of video games, and specifically when it comes to what happened to movies, right? Because we see it already, right? Every single time you see a movie that's an interesting concept, it's a smaller scale, no one goes to see it because they say literally in the comments, you see it on Twitter, you see it on Instagram, I'm gonna wait for it to be on Netflix, and it ends up being on Netflix. Same thing's happening with Game Pass. That's a Game Pass game. You see it in the chat, right? It's not a negative thing necessarily to the chat, right? Because that's how consumers are going to have to go because they can't afford groceries. So it's like, okay, of course I'm going to look to my subscription service in order to play my video games. I'm not going to buy them at $40, $50, $60. But we're having this devaluation of video games.
The red notice of movies for my video games.
I mean, we're having a lot of those moments, and we're having a lot of these games that are huge budgets, but maybe only people are playing it on Game Pass. And what does that look like for the future? I don't know. I don't think it's good.
Thanks for putting up with me on that one.
That was fun.
Let's reset the room.